To call to order the October 26, 2011 meeting of the Oklahoma City Airport Trust. The first order of business, the trustees have all been given a copy of the minutes of the September 28, 2011 meeting. What is your pleasure?
Second.
The motion is second. Any discussion? Cast your votes, and it is approved. Next on the agenda is our director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a part of my report this morning, I have a couple of presentations I would like to present to you. The first has to do with the Portland realignment, Portland Avenue realignment, and that project has been designed. It is split up into two bodies of work, one by Johnson & Associates and the other by Triad Design. We have with us today Mr. Johnson, who drew the short straw and is going to be giving us the presentation. So, Tim, if you'd come up and we'd get started on this presentation. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, trustees. On behalf of the design team, which includes Triad Design, Mr. Douglas is here, and Scott Howard with Howard Fairbairn Site Design is the landscape consultant working with Triad on this project. We're happy to be here to make this presentation. This is a combined long project that includes two main pieces. One is the street portion, the realignment of Portland to match up with the master plan that's been done for the Airport Trust. And then along that alignment, the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust is extending a 48-inch water main, which is will run parallel to that street realignment, and that's what we want to show you today. The vision of the airport master plan, that's part of what we took into consideration as we developed these plans. We have about 1,000 acres of land controlled by the airport and wanted to develop that into a industrial commercial development, working around the realignment of Portland. And as part of that, this aerial is very long and a little bit hard to read, but you can see on my overlay there that we've mapped the potential lots that would create developable tracks west and east of the new Portland alignment. The south portion of the project is being designed by Triad Design Group, and the north by our office, basically splitting the street work in half. It's our intent to, and we've worked very closely together, our intent to submit these final plans as a unit, and they would advertise and bid separately but go in conjunction, so the project would be built either in tandem or back-to-back. There's a portion of the historic Portland Avenue that will remain into play to allow for access to some of the taxiway development, those warehouses that would allow for air traffic to gain access to the taxiways. The south portion that Triad has includes the intersection at 104th Street and the intersection at 89th Street, as well as the connection from 89th Street to I-44. The north portion includes 74th Street and the connection to the already improved 54th Street intersection. The midsection is what we're calling the median section. This is the portion of the project that was proposed to include a median typical section for the paving, allowing for a 20-foot island, and I'll show you some more details on that in a minute. But this also includes the horseshoe road that will provide an internal circulation in the future as this development continues to grow forward. Developing the spine of Portland Avenue, there was a lot of things that we needed to look at, and included in our design contract was the need to look at all the grades and the drainage. A master drainage plan was conceived and is in process. And that area includes what's blocked out here shows a master grading area. And what we have prepared is what will be a map for future development to use as they develop these tracks. This is not a flat piece of land, so it takes some forethought with regard to what grades are going to be used, what can access the taxiways, and what will access the new Portland alignment. This is an example of how we're setting it up. This is the master grading plan, just overall conceptual. You can see the building sizes vary, and we use this to set finished floor grades and anticipate what the overall grading project will look like. Under the roadway project, we are only doing the dirt work for the roadway and some drainage improvements. The rest of the grading on the 1,000 acres, plus or minus, will be done as the development occurs. But this will be the roadway map that they'll use. Same way with the drainage. In order to make sure that the street is designed to adequately contain all the stormwater runoff, we've looked at a master drainage plan that includes the very large drainage basins that drain over to I-44 to the east, and then we have designed the structures under the new Portland Road and the inlets on Portland that will allow for those developments to occur and drain onto the streets. This is just an example of the amount of detail we've had to do on a drainage plan to incorporate the sizing of the inlets and everything on Portland Avenue. As we considered the drainage condition, we have drainage outfall issues. I-44 serves as like a dam. The structures under the highway are not necessarily all adequately sized. They were designed many, many years ago as part of the interstate. So as part of that, we've had to look at the backwater conditions and how that affects our intersections of 104th, 74th, and 54th, all of which will have major storm sewer structures that will take the runoff from the airport east towards the highway. The roadway elevation has been established such that any backwater that occurs from the undersized structures under I-44 will not adversely impact Portland. Also along this way, there was 3 locations where the Corps of Engineers had jurisdiction. It's called a blue line on the Corps' maps, and we have already applied and received nationwide permits to allow us to do the work that we're proposing through the Corps of Engineers. Additionally, as I mentioned early on, is the second part of this. We had to do all this preliminary work for grading and the roadway and storm sewer so that we could design the water line, which is really the front project of the 2 projects. The water line is an extension of the 48 that Oklahoma City has been bringing from Draper Plant west to serve those areas in western Oklahoma City that have suffered with low pressure, especially during the drought and the high volume usage this summer. This will go through a new pump station located at 104th Street, and the main, as part of our project, will extend all the way to 54th Street, and then ultimately, in a future project, go west to Rockwell, and then on from there to the western parts of the city. These 2 projects, 0504 and 0505, those preliminary reports have been approved by the Water Trust and the Council. The final plans have been prepared, and they're ready to go forward, but we're waiting on the environmental study that's done as part of this Portland project. We spoke with the water utility staff, and we're going to hold those plans at bay until the environmental study is released before we go advertise it, so it'll probably be after the first of the year. Just briefly on the water projects, the alignment is, as you see in the yellow, basically follows the east side of the proposed Portland Street. Additionally, on the Portland alignment, there's a MAPS Trails project that is projected to be along that eastern side as well, and we think that that's a good location for that. There'll be plenty of right-of-way and easements granted as part of this project. Signalization will be provided at 104th Street as part of the Portland Design Project. The rest of the intersections, until development occurs, will just be 4-way stops. And of course, there's a signal at 54th Street already, and that'll remain. The easements that are before you today are 120-foot wide roadway easement for the street and utility improvements, and then a specific 30-foot water line easement that'll house the 48-inch line. And that's before you today in 2 pieces, the piece along the east side of Portland Avenue, and then the second piece is the piece that runs east and west from Portland to Rockwell. Other utilities on the site have been addressed. We've had actual on-site locations done of the many oil field lines that run across the airport property, allowing us to do as much value engineering up front, so there will be very little changes as part of the design construction. Easements, again, as they're before you, the red is the roadway, the green is the water easements. And the roadway typical, the median section that's between 74th and 89th is the piece that you see in front of you. That will include landscaping in the median, as well as landscaping along the outside edge of the roadway as development occurs in the future. The non-median sections, this is a typical that shows a standard left turn bay that would be included at any other of the intersections. We've prepared for your review just briefly what the landscaping portion of this project will be, and as I mentioned, it'll be median landscape only with some detailed landscaping at the noses of the turnarounds, and those are shown more in detail here. Some hardscape and some shrubs. We're working very closely with the airport's landscape people to make sure that we have plant types that are usable on the airport property that won't attract birds or ducks or geese or other animals we don't like. In summary, the schedule, as I mentioned, is the water line wants to go first. It's funded through the Aquat CIP, and it's scheduled to go out to bid early next year. The roadway plans will follow. The funding for that will not be until 2013, but the roadway plans will be significantly complete, ready to advertise whenever the funds are available. The cost estimates for the two jobs, the water line is $8 million, and the roadway estimate was $11 million. We are anticipating staying within those budgets with our design. And as I mentioned, the funding for the two projects are Aquat CIP for the water, and then the 2007 general obligation bonds, as well as Airport Trust funds for the roadway. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much for coming, and it's a great project, and we're eager to see it move forward.
So, Tim, you don't like ducks? You don't like ducks?
I love ducks, but not on there.
Thank you. Very important project, and we're under a 30-day comment period for the environmental assessment, and then we hope to have a finding of no significant impact by the FAA, hopefully by the end of the year, so we can get moving and bid these projects, particularly the waterline project. The second presentation I have for you this morning has to do with the brand naming and a logo that we've been working on for some time for this East Side Development project. And I'd like to ask our Public Information and Marketing Manager, Karen Carney, to come forward and just set this up and then introduce her guest, which will do a little presentation on this. Karen?
Thank you, Mark. Good to see you, Chairman, trustees. I know everybody in this room is really excited that we are finally moving forward on the East Side Development, which we've been calling it that for some time. And we finally decided it was the appropriate time to move away from calling it the East Side Development. We tried to take this task in-house initially. We all had a lot of different names that we came up with and quickly realized that we were not very qualified to do that. So we tasked Funnel Design Group, which is the design agency that's on contract with the trust, to take this on. Not only are they qualified because they're intimately knowledgeable of the airport from their past work with us, but also they're qualified just because they really know what's going on in the community. They've done work for downtown Oklahoma City, Automobile Alley, and a whole myriad number of clients. So they're very, very familiar with the direction of the city and where we're going. And so we felt that they could really do a good job for us. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Matt Goad with Funnel Design Group, who is going to introduce our new name and brand.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Trust. Good morning. As catchy as East Side Development is, we love that name. We think it's going to draw so many people. We thought we might be able to do a little better. So we always approach these projects with ideas and rationale. We never go into something with the goal of, well, I like this. This is going to be cool because I think it's cool. We always try to have a reason for it. So we developed a little list of objectives usually when we start a project like this. On this one, we started. We wanted to brand the destination as branded as a retail, industrial, and office destination. We wanted to build in the proximity of Will Rogers World Airport. We thought that was real important. Where it is such a unique thing, and It is such a rich heritage and area to build upon, and we thought that would be integral in the concept. We wanted to create a synergy with the Will Rogers brand that's already got a lot of equity and has been established. We wanted to convey Oklahoma heritage and the concept of flight. Both of those things we thought were important in the concept of the logo. We wanted to create a appeal of the development as a destination for business. That's a little redundant, isn't it? But so we came down to two words: lariat, which is what we all know Will Rogers was famous for. His rope tricks. A lariat's a long noosed rope used to catch horses, cattle, or other livestock, also called a lasso. And the word landing we thought was great. It has a lot of meanings. It's the physical act of a person that lands things, like a pilot. It's also a place where a person or goods are landed, as from a ship. And with that, we've developed this image, this icon. It's lariat landing. This brand encompasses two uppercase L's that lean against each other in opposite directions, and in the reverse space form an airplane. The lariat is a representation of the retail attraction, the air support. It circles up from the ground. The lariat symbol is also a direct tie-in to the Will Rogers World Airport logo. The design elements align symmetrically and work both in horizontal and vertical applications. That's important because you never know on where this is going to be used or how this design might need to be implemented, whether it's a vertical or a horizontal billboard, a vertical banner, a T-shirt. You don't know. So we always try to design so that it's the most applicable in every case. The logo colors are blue representing sky, slate red representing the Oklahoma earth. We always do what we call lockups, which are different variations of the logo, how it'll be used in one color, multiple colors, like I said, horizontal and vertically. And with that, I'll happy to take any questions.
Any questions or comments? I know from my perspective, we tried to stay away from anything that may have seemed boring or routine, and we certainly didn't want to get too wacky with the logos and the brand. And we wanted it to sound a little bit different than lots of other development across the country. But it definitely needed an identity for the east side of the airport. And I might also add that when we finally get to the retail portion of the development, that we'll most likely be looking at a separate name for that particular area. This logo, in my opinion, works well with a variety of marketing materials, and that's something that we're working with the Chamber on, and we've already done a couple of generic presentations for some of their marketing that they've done nationwide, so they're very excited about moving forward with the brand name and the logo. I think it captures the heritage of Will Rogers in Oklahoma. So staff is pleased with it, but I'd be interested to hear any comments from the trustees. I like it. Okay, thank you. Karen, do you want to come up and mention I know we have a kind of a bigger thing in mind here, so would you share a little bit?
Yeah, we just wanted to point out that we know that the Lariat Landing is just one portion of the developable property that we have on the airport. And so as we move forward, we are actually going to be developing a campaign and an image for the entire land development program at Will Rogers World Airport. And so Lariat Landing is actually just a portion of that. So I hope we'll be, again, here soon presenting a whole campaign for the land development program at Will Rogers World Airport.
We actually had a billboard that kind of goes along that theme. You want to talk about that? We plan on putting that billboard back up once we get through with our San Francisco marketing campaign.
Well, initially, thoughts that we have a theme line that we've been using for Will Rogers World Airport, Fly at Will, and we've had a lot of opportunities with that, shop at will, park at will, and The world it will. Your world it will. So we think that, without giving anything away, that we may proceed down with some opportunities of that theme line that can tie into the entire program development.
And I've seen that, and some of the chamber folks have seen it already, a preview, and liked it, so we'll roll that out, and so we'll keep you teased with that one for a little bit longer. Thanks, Karen, and thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks to Mark and Karen. Appreciate all your help.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you all for your presentations on both the construction side and on the branding side. With that, let's move along then to the rest of our agenda, Will Rogers World Airport.
Thanks. We'd like to approve item A for approving Lariat Landing as the brand name and the associated logo for the development of the east side at Will Rogers World Airport. Item B is to approve a professional services agreement with ZRHD for replacing and upgrading various lighting on the airfield, engineering cost of $123,815. Item C, approve a professional services agreement with Garver Engineers for the rehabilitation of some concrete joints on runway 17 right and 35 left, design fee of $180,330. Both of these projects will be FAA funded partially and will be bid next year. Item D is approve the plans and project manual for actually 3 projects in one. We're going to be redoing the parking lot lighting in lot number 2, be relocating a generator to our field maintenance facility, and installing some air curtains in the terminal building to control the loss of heat and air in the building. Advertising bids November 22nd. Item E is approved change order number 5 for the installation of a closed-circuit television camera system, TSA-funded project, adding $1,203.95. Item F is approve the completed project for the North Overflow Lot paving project, approving the substantial completion certificate. G is to approve change order number 2 for a Mike Monroney project for Hangar 9, deducting $3,085. Item H is approve a permanent water line easement dedication for the installation of the new water line that will go along the Portland relocation from Southwest 54th Street to 104th Street. Item I is a permanent street and utility easement dedication along the Portland relocation alignment again from Southwest 54th to Southwest 104th Street. And then finally, another water line easement dedication for the water line that was recently installed on the north side of Southwest 54th Street between Portland Avenue and MacArthur Boulevard. Those are all the items under Will Rogers this morning.
Trustees, you've heard the items that need approval. What is your desire? A motion is second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, cast your votes, and it is approved. Wally Post on Clarence Page.
The only item for general aviation is adopting the resolution that ratified the action of the trust chairman and my signatures in approving and executing the transfer agreement that makes it possible to put the new ILS system in effect for runway 35 right at Wiley Post Airport.
I heard the item that needs adoption, the resolution. What is your desire? A motion is second. Seeing no discussion, cast your votes, and it is adopted. General.
I'd like to receive the delinquent accounts receivable report, construction project status report, and the new budget actual report that I shared with all of you this week. Item B is approve staff to rescind or terminate the annual electrical and street lighting repairs and maintenance contract for fiscal year 11 and 12 with Asset Group Incorporated. And item C is to adopt a resolution authorizing the purchase of electrical services from Libra Electric Company not to exceed $100,000 and ratifying the director's actions in approving the memorandum of agreement for all 3 airports.
Thank you, Mark. Any comments or action from the trustees on items under general? The motion is second. Cast your votes, and so moved. Lease agreements.
Only 2 this morning. Item A is to approve an assumption and use guarantee for the sale of T-Hangar Unit 1402 from Judy Mullen to Southern Wings Aircraft Sales as provided by the lease agreement with PWA Incorporated. And then item B is to approve a ground services agreement with Trans Specialist LLC for limousine service starting, they've already started at Will Rogers World Airport through February 29th of 2012.
You've heard the items under lease agreements. Action from the trustees. A motion is second. Cast your votes, and so approved. Item 8 is to adopt a requisition resolution and also authorize payments. Action from the trustees. Motion is second. Cast your votes, and it is so adopted. Any comments from the trustees? Comments from staff? Any citizens wishing to be heard? Seeing none, hearing none, we are adjourned.